Hello, this is Laura from Astropositive, and we are here to talk about what is to follow next week, and especially to talk about the full moon that will happen on the 7th of October at 3:47 a.m. Universal Time. That is early morning here in Europe. This full moon will happen at 14 degrees 08 on the Aries Libra axis. And as you can see, it doesn't make any aspect to other planets. It is a bit of a standalone full moon, opposing a fire and an air sign. And as it is, we get already the sense of a volatile situation, something that can catch fire easily. As any full moon, it is about a climax. It's supposed to bring things to a head and provoke a crisis, because it is supposed to be the peak of a cycle. The first half is active, it brings things into existence. At the full moon, we see where all this was heading, and the crisis occurs so we can correct the course. The second half of the cycle is more passive and merely takes care of the wrapping up of things. It is a bit like a ball that's being pushed up a hill, and then it rolls down by itself. So, at this Aries full moon, it's not the best time to feel calm and composed. It stands on its own on an axis that is concerned with us versus them, with me, versus my partner, by myself versus together. We have a decision to make regarding our partnerships, regarding who we associate with, be it romantically or otherwise. That is the question, should we go it alone, or should we get into this partnership? Let's see what the other planets have to say about it. Well, if one considers asteroids, and I sometimes do, there is this wide conjunction of the moon with Ceres. To the ancient Greeks, Ceres, or Demeter, was an earth goddess that ruled over the crops and nourishment. In the myth, Ceres loses her daughter, Persephone, to Hades, the god of the underworld, and makes a deal with him so she can have her back part of the year, actually the part where it's the sunny season and the crops are growing. All this to say that maybe we are supposed to choose what to nourish in our lives. Maybe feeling nourished ourselves needs us to part from a specific relationship. Maybe excessive fusion feels smothering. Maybe the best way to care for someone is to push him out of the nest. With Ceres in Aries, we're all supposed to learn how to take care of ourselves, of our own needs. By looking at the chart, we see that Venus is involved in this as the sun's ruler. The sun is in Libra, and is roughly conjoined at south node, and is heading toward an opposition with Saturn, while Mars, the ruler of the moon, stands alone in Scorpio. This, to me, it reflects the same dilemma as the full moon, because the moon's ruler is by itself, it's an independent force in Scorpio, while Venus in Virgo is still attached to old connections and is still doing her duty by them. However, the approaching opposition of the Venus with Saturn seems to say that the old situation doesn't suit our needs anymore, doesn't answer our needs. Duty feels burdensome. And this seems also to be the message that we get with the Juno-Uranus opposition that is still exact to the degree this week. It is time for a change, and our commitments might not look the same after this week. It may be that no extraordinary events take place, but the inner voice is telling us something needs to change if we are to expand and grow, as Juno in Sagittarius wants us to. This is the last of three oppositions. So, as Juno will go ahead through Sagittarius while Uranus is heading back into Taurus, so they won't meet under the same circumstances in the future. So the same process is underway since the beginning of the years, and this realization is really not hitting us out of the blue. We saw this coming, but maybe we didn't want to look this way. Pluto is making soft aspects to both ends of this opposition, to Juno and Uranus. It's a sextile to Juno, and it's a trine to Uranus. So it is offering us a way out. And as is always the case with Pluto, the way out involves a death and a rebirth. The death will occur by detachment, because Pluto is in Aquarius, which is a sign that deals with ideas and intellect and logic and not emotions. So our ties need to be first broken before they get mended or reattached elsewhere. This situation might hurt a lot. Take a look at Chiron, which is here conjunct Eris in Aries. Eris is another planet we don't talk a lot in astrology yet. It is a very slow-moving planet, and it gets a name from Eris, the goddess of conflict. In Greek myth, Eris was the one who actually launched the Trojan War by stirring up envy and jealousy, offering the apple to Helen. And now Eris is conjunct to Chiron in Aries. Chiron is our wound, our sensitive spot. We might be very much afraid of conflict, but it looks like we'll have to face it sometime, because with the Aries moon, this Chiron-Eris conjunction, all in Aries and Mars in Scorpio, all this martial energy is getting triggered this week at this full moon. So there is potential for conflict. I don't personally feel it will be anything major right now. I feel, seeing that there are not many connections and Mars is not directly involved. But conflict will reach us at some point. Now for the good omen. Venus will soon complete a sextile to Jupiter and later create a grand trine with Uranus and Pluto. The future holds a lot of hope for emotional healing. Jupiter in Cancer is preparing for a trine to Saturn in Pisces, so these are two water signs that long for emotional comfort and harmony. But their agreement will not be reached until November. In the meantime, we should be patient and trust that the wheel will turn. So let's take a look at the week day by day. The week starts off on a down note with the moon opposite Saturn and Neptune in the small hours of the morning, here in Europe at least. For most of the day, the moon is in Aries, so it's quite a feisty moon, acting at the drop of a hat. Take care, because you could easily be triggered. Remember that Mars is in Scorpio, and especially Mercury is arriving in Scorpio as well, so thoughts turn to forbidden fruits and taboo matters. And this time we are not afraid to utter out loud what was kept under wraps before. All the more so on the 7th. It's the day of the full moon, when Mercury gets to square Pluto. Verbal exchanges are intense and strike a raw chord. We can get obsessive, we can plunge into the abyss till we hit the bottom. We are not afraid to touch sore points. And the moon conjoining Chiron in the evening is an echo to that. So everything I was telling you about the full moon will get triggered during the same day on the 7th. We will feel vulnerable and maybe lash back in retaliation. Overall, it's a tense day, when not everyone will make it through unscathed. On the 8th, the moon is now in Taurus and starts by squaring Pluto, not making things any easier. But later that day, Venus sextiles Jupiter, and we can all take a deep breath and make peace and reconcile. We can talk things over and get some clarity. Life can feel good after all. Some tension lingers in the air till the evening with the moon opposite Mars, but it might be turned to better use as physical exertion rather than conflict. The 9th looks to me like a nice and peaceful day with the moon sextile Jupiter and trine Venus, so it's perfect for holding hands on a stroll in the park and finish the day with a candlelit dinner. On the 10th, the moon arrives in Gemini for a lively and flirty day that can be full of surprises, with the moon meeting Uranus in the morning. So it will feel exciting, though a bit nervous perhaps. Remember, we have this Juno-Uranus opposition that gets triggered at the same time. So this can put into motion, to me, a cascade of events that can reshuffle the cards for our love relationships and partnerships. We will see our attachments and commitments in a different light all of a sudden. We will start questioning them, and the answers might surprise even ourselves. After yesterday's liberating thoughts with Uranus, the 11th comes as a bit of an anticlimax. We feel a bit left out in the cold, a bit lonely, or fed up with it all. Venus is opposite Saturn, and this either signals that we are ready to get serious in love matters and settle down, or that we are dissatisfied to the point of temporarily losing hope. Don't worry, this transit only lasts for one day. The moon in parallel trines the sun, so there is a balance, and the good side of this influence will normally prevail. In the evening, the mood is pretty grey, with the coming moon square Saturn. Not a great Saturday night out, I'm afraid. On the 12th, the moon arrives in Cancer, and we all need a little pampering to make up for a disappointing Saturday and a very rough week overall. Staying at home with a hot chocolate and maybe watching a good movie is just what the doctors ordered. Maybe scroll the social media with the moon trine Mercury and get ready for next week. All right, so this was more or less the message I had to pass this week, and I'm looking forward to meet you next week for more adventures. So take care. Have a nice week. See you soon.